Okay. All right, so good morning, everybody, and welcome to this PBEC Insights Market Series that continues. And today we're joined by Dr. Moses Cheng. Good morning, Moses.
Morning.
So Moses is based here in Hong Kong with myself, and today we're going to be focusing on his current role, amongst many others, as chairman of the Insurance Authority of Hong Kong, which is a regulatory body for the insurance sector. And so Moses, before we get started, would you like to just sort of share a little bit about yourself to those who haven't heard of you, which is very rare, but if you could sort of share for a few minutes just about your background. Thank you, Moses.
I was born and raised up here in Hong Kong, and I received all my education here. I went to Hong Kong U for my Bachelor of Laws degree, and that was way back in 1969, quite a long time ago. And that was the first year that University of Hong Kong is offering full-time study on law. And so in 1972, I graduated with the first batch of graduate from the Department of Law of the Faculty of Social Science then. Wow. Now, of course, now Hong Kong U now has a full-fledged Faculty of Law. And then I continued to study for my professional qualification, which is what they call the postgraduate certificates in law, again at Hong Kong U. And then after that, I need to do a 2 years training at the current firm that I'm working. So basically from 1972 up to now, I'm working at PC Wu & Company, the only firm that I've worked for in Hong Kong, and that's the only job that I've ever done. And so a lot of wow. Young people ask me to advise them how to go and apply for a job. I said I've never written any letter to apply for a job, and I've never attended a job interview. And so I was trained there, and then I started off as a litigation lawyer. And after my initial 15 years as a litigation lawyer, then I branched out into intellectual property practice, and from then on, I moved into the capital market. And that's what I'm still doing these days, advising company and the board of directors on the various aspects of fundraising, restructuring, as well as how to introduce better practice in corporate governance in the company. So that's basically what I've been doing for major part of my career. And then in accordance with the firm's practice, I have to step down as the senior partner in 2015 when I reached the age of the so-called retirement from the partnership. And from 2016 onward, then I've been practicing as a consultant, going back to more professional and technical work of the law rather than managing the firm. So that's basically what I've been doing in terms of my career. Wow. Now, of course, I was very fortunate to be given various opportunities to serve the community, including the time that I was asked to serve as an appointed member of the Legislative Council, and that was between 1991 to 1995, the years before Hong Kong's reversion to China. Yeah. And that was the last term that they still have appointed Legislative Council member. I really enjoyed those 4 years and learning a lot about the political system as well as the government system in Hong Kong.
So it was under Chris Patten.
Right? Yeah, and I was appointed by Lord Wilson. And then, of course, Wilson retired, and then Chris Patten took over as the last governor of Hong Kong. But in 1995, at the end of the first term of my legal life, I mean, I was asked to go and to continue to seek for election as a functional constituency representative of the legal profession. After very carefully considering it and after evaluating it and balancing it with the demands, vis-a-vis my work at the law firm and my other commitments of serving other voluntary organizations and the church, I decided that I would not do well as a LegCo member, because I think as a LegCo member, it would require you to devote full time into that work, and that's something which I cannot afford at that time, and so I decided not to go forward, and so that's basically what I've been doing, serving the community and trying to promote good corporate governance practices in Hong Kong, and so as to, I mean, all in all, it's really with the objective of sort of contributing towards building Hong Kong as one of the very important international financial center.
Yeah. So Moses, obviously bringing you now to present day, in some ways the government's asked for your public service again, right? In terms of chairing the Insurance Authority. So I've put a few questions together. So I was just thinking maybe we kick off with one as to why the Insurance Authority was sort of set up in the first place as a body and regulator back in 2015, and what are the major differences between now and the previous self-regulated regime?
Now, I think if you look at the different international financial centers, the financial industry is regulated by independent regulatory bodies, which are independent of the government, and so much so that they can do their job without really the worries of compromising the government or compromising the industry. So basically, this is what the IMF advised Hong Kong to do, because at that time, I think the Security and Future Commission is an independent regulatory authority, and then the insurance regulatory authority in those days is still part of the Hong Kong government as a government department, which is the Office of the Commissioner of Insurance. Now, the Office of the Commissioner of Insurance has been doing quite well in regulating the industry, but as the industry grows bigger and more important, I think it needs to go independent of the government, because as a government department, it's certainly the Office of the Commissioner of Insurance is really has a limitation as to what they can do.
Yeah.
Now, most important difference between the OCI, the Office of the Commissioner of Insurance, and the Insurance Authority is really what is clearly stated in the legislation establishing the Insurance Authority. That is, besides regulating the insurance industry, it also been given the very important duty of promoting the sustainable development of the industry. Now, that's something which is quite unique to the Insurance Authority. Yep. You look at the different ordinances, regulating the Monetary Authority, or the Security and Future Commission, or the mandatory the MPF Authority. They do not have this added responsibility. As I said, that this is a double responsibility of Insurance Authority. It would have to balance its job as a regulator that's protecting policyholder with the need to promote the sustainable development of the industry. I think as most of us can see, Hong Kong's insurance market has a lot of potential for development, for growth, and with a big, although right now we do not yet have the insurance link that enables us to sort of do cross-border sale to mainland the mainland policy holders.
Sure.
But you can actually see that in before the sort of before the middle of last year, when we have regularly a lot of visitors from mainland,
Sure.
they do participate in the insurance market. They've been purchasing policy in Hong Kong because I think Hong Kong insurers offer better choice, better product, and that suits the individual's need. Okay. On the mainland, of course, the insurance industry is quite well regulated and is quite well run. But on the other hand, I think as compared to the products that are available and offer in Hong Kong, I'm sure that we've got a very good, attractive offer. And so that's again is something which we have been asked to do as an insurance authority, is to promote the sustainable development. Now, besides the mainland, I think we can actually see that because of the development of technology, advancement of technology, I think the boundaries, the national boundary, are not as important or as significant as before. So we want to attract more international players who come to Hong Kong, to use Hong Kong as a regional base to develop the insurance industry or the insurance business in the area, serving this rather big portion of the world's population in this part of the world. So
I mean, you've kind of morphed into my next question a little bit there, Moses. Sort of what are the emerging development opportunities for the Hong Kong insurance industry, and what have the AIA done to explore and capture those opportunities? So you mentioned about promoting and bringing before the middle of last year, sort of Chinese people to come and see what you're doing and look at obviously promoting Hong Kong-based insurance companies' products and services, which a lot of mainland Chinese have been taking up, as you say. But what about other opportunities per se? Are you seeing, I mean, I've certainly heard from one of our PBEC members like AIA, Peter Crew was mentioning that they now have the license in mainland China to sort of sell some of those products, not all, but there's certain products they can now legally sell to the mainland Chinese policyholders. So is that a trend that you'll think you'll see continue from a Hong Kong base?
I think we can see. I mean, in terms of the mainland policies, I think we can actually see the Greater Bay Area development policy, as well as the Belt and Road initiatives. I think for Belt and Road initiative, I think the national policies has sort of set Hong Kong, the Hong Kong positioning as the center for risk management, and for companies, for mainland companies that are going out of China to invest at the different countries along the Belt and Road. And as for the Greater Bay Area, I think it's an initiative to how I say, to promote the collaborative efforts of this 9+2 cities in the southern part of China. I think that also is offering lots of exciting opportunities. And last Thursday, it was announced the central government has announced further initiative to encourage the integration of the financial market in the Greater Bay Area. Now that would provide a lot of opportunities for insurers in terms of supporting those who have already purchased policies while visiting Hong Kong, and alternatively to be able to serve their policyholders better without these people having to sort of commuting to Hong Kong for everything, and payment of premium, management of the policy, as well as management of the claims eventually.
Sure.
So I think that those would offer Hong Kong insurers with greater opportunities. Now, besides, I think you can actually see that different Asian markets are booming, and So insurance, big international insurance company would, I think, naturally be looking at the Asia Pacific area
Oh, for sure.
in the forthcoming 20, 30 years in terms of expanding and developing in this area. And Hong Kong definitely can offer a good location in terms of physical distance, in terms of the availability of good international capital market for them to be based here and then to develop their business here. So you can actually see now we have 3 big groups being supervised by Hong Kong: AIA, Prudential, International, as well as FWD. And these are the 3 groups of insurers, international insurance company, using Hong Kong as a base to further develop their presence and their operation and the business covering this whole area.
And we see sort of partnerships as well, like Prudential partnering with Bank of China for MPF programs and things like that. So, but in terms of regulation, obviously insurance, like others, are highly regulated, like aviation as well, my background. So how do you, as a regulator, communicate, cooperate with your counterparts in mainland China and also in ASEAN to sort of, do you have any collaborative or regular meetings or conversations? How does it work?
No, I think we work very closely with mainland regulatory authority. I mean, from the management level as well as the working level, we have regular contacts. And so we do a lot of work, and of course, licensing of mainland insurers who wish to apply for their license to operate in Hong Kong. I think we coordinate with central government authorities in our approval process, and so that's a very important collaborative effort. Now, besides, I think I regularly visit Beijing to meet with the senior officials regulating the industry. Sure. And so are my senior management, the working level contact. Now, besides, I think we the CEO of the Insurance Authority Hong Kong is the chairman of the Asian Forum of Insurance Regulator, which is again, if you like, a federation of insurers, insurance regulators in the Asia area. And we work very closely with everybody. We have our annual meeting. We have our technical committees looking after different aspects of sharing ideas and sharing information. And then Hong Kong is now represented on the executive committee of the International Association of Insurance Supervisors, the IIS, which sets the international standards for insurance regulation. And with that contact, we work very closely, and our senior management are participating in the technical and professional committee of IIS on a regular basis. And so I go to the annual meeting every year, and we don't know about this year, this coming IIS meeting, but on the other hand, I think we maintain a very close contact. I think our CEO actually is most probably participating in one, at least one, if not more than one, meeting online with everybody else from the world. Now, what we try to do is that we are setting our regulatory standards in line with the best practices and the required standards internationally, but with adaptability to the special condition in Hong Kong. Yeah, now, we can do that because we keep in close contact with the industry, and we have, besides our statutory consultative group, we have we have many channels through which we can communicate with the industry. I talk to the industry all the time, and they are very happy to share what they observe in the market. So being an effective and efficient regulator, we need to stay with the market. We need to be at the forefront of the market, knowing what's happening to them, so that we can react appropriately.
And support them as well, right? Because obviously, just coming from an aviation background myself, I mean, it's always sometimes a challenge for regulators to keep in touch with what's going on or coming down the pipeline of the different nuances within the industry. Everybody thinks of airlines as the main, which they are, the majority that requires the utmost attention and regulatory attention, but then there are other aspects like the general aviation segment that has different needs to the airlines. So it's no different in insurance. I'm sure you've got, the bigger guys obviously have a multitude of products and services and markets that they're already serving in, but then it's those smaller specialized insurers as well that need that a special support from the regulators on a particular issue. So I'm glad to hear that that's a nice open channel between the market and the regulator, which is fantastic. So that obviously would be imperative over the last few months, in particular with the COVID-19 pandemic situation. So what has the impact been on the Hong Kong Insurance Authority, sorry, not on the authority, but on the industry that you've been observing? And what has yourselves been doing to cope with some of the challenges that you faced?
You can actually see that the lockdown of Hong Kong and from tourists and people traveling, non-Hong Kong resident traveling to Hong Kong, and that is a great impact on in terms of the sales of new policy, and I think the full effect of the pandemic is not yet sort of fully realized or appreciated or made known to the industry yet. But on the other hand, I think the immediate impact of drop in sales, and drop in number of policy concluded during this period has greatly sort of decreased the volume and as well as the amount of sales. So I think one of the very, very important compliance issues which we have to tackle is, of course, the face-to-face contact with respective policy holders. Now that is virtually not possible, and so our staff worked very quickly to respond to this this situation, and came up with the temporary facilitative measures, which we announced at the end, towards the end of March, that would enable agents and intermediaries selling without the necessary of complying with the face-to-face contact.
Social distancing.
That is possible because of technology, and also because of the choice of product, types of product that can be sold without really detailed evaluation and that of the potential clients' needs and so on, and their financial background, and so that we came out quite quickly, allowing intermediaries to sell the qualified the QDAP, the qualified deferred annuities policy, and also the voluntary health insurance scheme. Now these are products that the policyholder would enjoy tax benefit from announcement by the government. And so I think with this coming out quickly in March, people who need to complete the subscription on these products would be able to enjoy the tax deduction within the tax year, which ends on 31st of March. Now, I think that goes to demonstrate as to how our people at the insurance authority are working closely with the industry and
Sure.
appreciating the problem and trying to protect the policyholder at the same time. So we did not sort of we're still requiring the same level of supervision and same level of compliance. But on the other hand, I think technology helps to provide an alternative way of complying with the very important protection and requirement for protection for policyholders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, moving on to the technology part, because obviously insurance is in some ways at the forefront of some of the new technology, what they like to call insure tech these days, like biotech and fintech. There's all these acronyms. But from an insurance tech perspective, what has IA observed about its application so far in Hong Kong? Is it one of the leading markets of adopting insurance technology products? What are some of the initiatives that the AIA has put forward to facilitate the development of insurer tech?
Now, I think we are a strong promoter of the application of technology because we can certainly see that in terms of protection of policyholders, in terms of reducing the cost associated with the sale of the insurance policy, it's greatly sort of the efficiency part is greatly enhanced through the utilization of technology. So quite early on in 2017, we announced two initiatives. The one, what we call the sandbox for existing insurers to test out new ideas, new technology in a control environment. So that we learn together with the insurer as to how technology, how compliance, how policyholders can be protected using alternative compliance routes. And so I think that's the first program. The second program is that we encourage tech people to go into to act as insurers. And so we have the fast track program, meaning that we do a dedicated program for technology for insurers, which operate solely on the net, providing online services, so that they do not have to queue on the same queue with traditional insurers in terms of applying for their insurance license. And on that program, I'm sure that it is common knowledge now that we have issued altogether now up to today 4 licenses to through this fast track program, and all of them are offering good services and applying good technology in terms of offering their services to especially to the younger generation who prefers to go to do their purchases or to take out insurance policy online. So I think that is one aspect of how we promote technology. Secondly, we encourage our own people to be more trained and to expose themselves to technology. From the commencement of even at our provisional state, when we're still building up the insurance authority, while we're still recruiting staff, we have already set up what we call the Future Task Force. One of this working group under the Future Task Force is how to facilitate and encourage the utilization of new technology in terms of providing insurance, in terms of managing insurance, in terms of processing claim. And so I think that we have a very good working group, and what we feel that the insurance authority has the responsibility of facilitating a platform through which insurers and tech people can communicate and talk to each other, so the tech people would understand what are the technical, or also how insurers would be able to help by technology, and therefore they would be able to develop programs, they will be able to develop software to assist, which will then be able to utilized by insurers. Now, at the same time, I think insurers can also, through the platform, understand what is available and how technology can help them to do their job more effectively and more efficiently. So that's our future task force, and that's an ongoing effort. And then what we're trying to do is also to keep up with what's happening in other countries of the world, and try to bring these information available back.
I mean, obviously margins are always getting smaller and smaller, right? It's always about cost reduction and but trying to get more revenue, but at a lower percentage in terms of markup or fee structure, because there's just a lot of competition, which is good. It's healthy. So that's where technology combined with good customer service is sort of the magic formula you're looking for, so people can be focused more on talking to the customer and allowing technology to do a lot of the administrative part automatically after you've got the key information from the prospect. So moving on to the sort of sustainability part, which you mentioned about the role the authority plays in terms of sustaining the whole industry, which is quite unique from other regulatory bodies, but also about, we've seen increased focus on corporations and investors to look at green financing products, and obviously there's an introduction of the environmental reporting requirements as well of listed companies both in Hong Kong and Singapore. So what can insurance, do you think, contribute to the global initiative that we're all supposed to be heading in, which is being more consciously aware about our environment?
No, I think we are studying into how insurance companies need to change their practice, their systems, so that they would be able to contribute towards the total sustainable growth target. And so I think what we'll be working with the industry is develop good best practices so that insurers can comply with, and would tell people how they would be able to contribute towards building a sustainable world. I think now, besides, I think what we're trying to look at is the securitization of risks associated with natural disasters and environmental issues and so on. And so that again is another initiative which we're looking at as to contribute towards building a sustainable world. And then we ourselves, the authority, in designing our office and designing our process, we would try to take into consideration as to how we can contribute toward building a sustainable world. For example, all the lighting setup in our offices have the built-in system that that detects movement. And in terms of when the room is not occupied and the room is not there's no activity going on, then it will automatically shut off all the lights. And we try to make better use of natural lighting in the choice of our office. So initially, when we go and inspect different sites, one of the key issues is the availability of natural lights. And we're now in the process of digitizing all the past files and records, so that ultimately we hope that we, within our sort of planned program, we'll be able to achieve a paperless regulatory environment. And in terms of our licensing system, we put a lot of effort and a lot of emphasis on building our e-portal, so that eventually it will be done 100% online.
Yeah.
At the moment, I think we are going through the process of working with the industry and trying to make better use of the e-portal, and then hopefully by the end of this year, we'll be able to do all the new application or a substantive part of the new application online, rather than using paper form. Now, I think a lot of people don't really appreciate that we have close to 120,000 intermediaries who need to apply or renew their licenses on a regular basis. So I think that it's done through manual processes using paper. That cut down a lot of trees and
Sure.
would require a lot of manual labor.
Well, I think it's not just insurance companies, right, Moses? I mean, you look at banks. We used to people, I mean, myself included, would complain about, I won't name the bank, but you know, you would get seriously, like before anyway, about a year or so ago, not that long ago, you'd get maybe 20, 30, 40 mails on a regular basis, and a lot of it was just a waste of paper, in my opinion. You know, but it's a regulatory requirement that they have to inform their customers. So I agree. I mean, I think there's definitely industries which are, you know, historically heavy administratively on paper format can benefit from these portals, as you describe, a bit like, you know, what the tax authority's done in Hong Kong, where you can now do self-assessments and everything through the tax IRD platforms. So less paper is definitely a great way forward to reaching sustainable goals, even, and that's the small steps that, you know, SMEs can take, not just the big guys who can do a lot more from the technology advances. So with that said, I mean, obviously Hong Kong has been going through tough times for nearly a year already, given some of the social unrest last year and now COVID at the beginning of this year. So I mean, you've obviously been, as you mentioned before, with one company since 1972, but you've been there, seen it. You've seen a lot of historical transitional moments for Hong Kong. But do you feel that you're still bullish on that the Hong Kong government, the business sector in particular, and society as a whole in general can pull through the current crisis? What advice or words of encouragement do you like to share with, I guess, PBEC members who are, you know, they're wise to this, they know their geopolitics, but maybe not necessarily hear it from the horse's mouth?
Now, for the 40-odd years that I've been practicing in Hong Kong, I think I've gone through ups and downs, and I've gone through at least 2, if not 3, economic depressions in Hong Kong, and then I've experienced the SARS period, and people really are very worried and very, 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 very much afraid. And I think if Hong Kong people can work together and work towards the common objective of doing good for Hong Kong, rather than sort of going off tangents to different idealism and so on, I think Hong Kong has been able to prosper because Hong Kong people's very, very focused on how to do their job properly, and how to get ready for opportunity when it comes. And those people who really are successful these days were we're working very hard to get themselves ready so that when the opportunity arises, then they can really grab hold of the opportunities and work to achieve the success.
Yeah.
Now, I think we were all taught to believe that Hong Kong have plenty of opportunities, and it still is offering a lot of opportunities to, although the opportunities that we were seeing in the 50s when I was a kid, in the 60s when I was a student, in the 70s when I first came out to work, in the 80s when we were facing the challenges of uncertainty towards reversion of sovereignty,
Yeah.
and to the post-reversion period and the political scenes in different parts of the world. There's always sort of problem facing us, but the different kind of opportunity occurs at different period of time. The opportunity doesn't sort of naturally fall onto you. You got to go and seek for these opportunities. And I mean, one of the examples is that I went into the position of as the senior partner of my law firm, if not the 10 years, at least close to 10 years ahead of what I would normally expect me to be, because at that time I think everybody is worried about the uncertainty towards 1997, and then a lot of senior people are so worried that they move away, and for them, I mean, they lost out on a good opportunity, and some of them now back in Hong Kong and were complaining to me and say that, look, I mean, they sold their property and uprooted themselves at the time when Hong Kong's property prices was at its lowest. And then when they moved to a new country, and they were going into the market at the height of the market, and then when they need to repatriate themselves to Hong Kong, they have to sell out their property. They have to uproot themselves at the time when in no good condition, and then coming back to Hong Kong, they are faced again with the challenge of increase in property prices and so on. So I think opportunities are unique to yourself. So everyone in Hong Kong need to look at themselves, look at the opportunity that's available to them, get ready to grab hold of these opportunities. I think nothing would get you to success without hard work. Let me tell you, everyone would not succeed laying back, doing nothing. I think you've got to work hard. There's no question about that. There's no replacement to hard work on the road to success. Now, Hong Kong is facing a lot of challenges, undoubtedly so.
Yeah.
Because of the change in the political system, the change of international environment, but a lot of, I've heard a very, very, very good saying is that Hong Kong is really like the eye of the typhoon. If the area surrounding it is really getting in a turmoil, then it would enjoy the calmness and have the opportunity for you to develop. So I'm always bullish about Hong Kong. So if anyone is, I think for people, I have never worked outside Hong Kong, but I've traveled to different parts of the world. I've worked with people from different parts of the world. I think the availability of opportunities and the fact that Hong Kong is quite a unique place when if you want to work hard, you can work hard and achieve success. And success is not sort of will not fall onto you overnight. Success is actually achieved by you by going step by step, working hard, learn from your failure, and do better again. So I think when this epidemic is over, what we need to do is to pull back what Hong Kong people are best in doing. Is to do well, concentrate, focus on what you do yourself, and do it well. And so collectively, it would contribute to Hong Kong collective success. I think that's what it is. We've got a good legal system. We've got a good government system, which is not too difficult for us to understand and to learn. But of course, with organizations like PBEC helping younger generation to be connected both locally and within the region, I think that would definitely be an additional benefit to people who are entering into Hong Kong's business world. And
I mean, obviously, you mentioned PBEC there, and you're our proud vice chairman currently of PBEC for the last few years and going forward. What would you, just a very short sort of, what would you see as a bit of a sales pitch, if you like, to people who are watching to say that, you know, why you feel organizations, not just like PBEC, but similar organizations like ASCAP as well, that are doing, I guess, unsung hero work that sometimes that people don't necessarily hear about in the mainstream media, but these are platforms that are maybe another level above the typical Chamber of Commerce environment, which engage with regional governments and push forward agenda items which help the private sector to achieve that next phase of growth, right?
Yep. I think PBEC, we call ourselves, we represent the voice of the business, okay?
Correct.
And for business people, for professionals like myself who are serving businesses in Hong Kong, I think PBEC is there to reflect what we feel about the place, the region, and hopefully these will be brought to the attention to the people in the government, to policymakers, so much so that it will make things more conducive or more appropriate for us to operate in and build a better environment for businesses to operate. Now, technology, again, I would say that technology is really bringing the world closer to each other.
Correct, yeah.
And it's breaking all the sort of the borders separating different countries. I think these day and age, I think computer and the internet would enable us to trade 24 hours of the day with anyone from any part of the world effectively. So that shouldn't be, I would say that shouldn't be, we should eliminate borders in terms of trade, in terms of providing services. I think what PBEC is advocating is that the different countries in the Pacific Basin should really work together and collaborate well, so that we together would be able to help this region, this area to grow, and for people to benefit, and for people to make it a better place that for them to choose as their home. And so that is the reason why I feel that PBEC is important. PBEC is, I think, for young entrepreneur, that's what we set out to do. We want to be able to connect. We want to be able to connect young people directly with business leaders, government leaders.
Well, you've always been advocating that, Moses. Yeah,
I think this
and it's true.
Important.
It's very important. Yeah,
it's really important, because I grew up in Hong Kong. I wasn't born into a very powerful, very, very, very important family locally, but today I would say that I would be able to contribute my ideas, contribute my services through the connection of various bodies that I serve, including PBEC.
No, agreed. And I think, you know, the young people are the ones with the new ideas and the dreaming mentality that we encourage, that we want to hear from them. It doesn't necessarily, not every idea is going to be the next unicorn, but it's certainly, we want to encourage that open thinking rather than closed thinking to help business environment, and especially Hong Kong homegrown talent, to excel and keep Hong Kong at the forefront, because it's a very competitive region these days. You know, everybody's competing for inward investment, direct investment opportunities. And I think for those who are watching, just to let you know that right now it always feels like that people are questioning whether we should make that investment now, or if they can delay it to 2021, should it be Hong Kong or Singapore or another city that we open up in? And I would, hand on heart, would still say, you know, Hong Kong is still a great place to live, to bring up your children. It's still, for me anyway, it's been personally up to recently anyway, a very safe city. You can go out at night time, no problem at all. And the tax environment and the benefit eventually when you get to PR status is definitely worth its weight in gold as well. Something to think about for those who are considering developing their business further. As it's always been a gateway, in particular positioning to China, but I think a lot of Hong Kong companies now are also a gateway to ASEAN as well. And the last point I was just, in a post-Brexit era, UK companies are already looking to Hong Kong as a renewed relationship to grow their APAC presence. So the final part I just wanted to conclude, Moses, just a little bit more personal, is that obviously besides the PBEC and the Insurance Authority, I wanted just to talk about your alma mater, St. Paul's Co-Educational College, and our Hong Kong Foundation, which you're passionately supporting. I remember you sharing with us during the COVID-19 a bit of an orchestral composition that piece, which was wonderful to hear from your guys. But just to finish, how important is that to you to keep yourself calm, if you like, not so stressed out, to be involved with those sort of community projects you mentioned right at the beginning? How important is that to you personally?
Now, basically, I feel that I'm very blessed and I'm very fortunate. And I'm not a very clever person, but I like to work and I like to participate. I like to offer my part, if that is what is needed by the organization. For my alma mater, St. Paul's Co-Educational College, I mean, I'm most grateful because it inculcated in me a set of values which helped me to go through, to build my life and to help me in facing all the challenges. And when I'm at a dilemma as to how I should make up my mind and make the choice, that set of values really helped me. And you're not just seeing in one person, but you can actually see in most of the alumni of the school, and they work hard and they contribute to make the community that they live in a success. I think that's a very important contribution. I want to be able to contribute to perpetuate this tradition and this set of values, the inculcation of this set of values to different generation of the school. Now, the school that I went through in my school days is totally different from the school that we are running and to educate the current generation. I think education, teaching and learning has changed because of the changes of the world, and especially in technology. So that's the reason why we feel that we need to motivate students to think differently about learning, to empower them to learn by themselves and continue to learn as they grow older in their life. And I think that's something which the message that we want to pass to students that during this COVID-19 period is that even though that they are not attending classes in school, and even though that they suffer a bit in terms of there is no active face-to-face, how do I say it?
Interaction,
physical contact with a teacher, with a student, with a fellow student, they can still work together to create, to contribute, and to give thanks to people, especially those people who are sacrificing themselves, their time, the time with the family to work, to take care of those infected with the virus and therefore recovering in hospitals. Now, this is the whole object of doing that project, to tell people that we together, despite that we are not physically together, we can still work together through the help of technology And then we would like to teach young people to give thanks where thanks is due. I think this is very important. If you can count your blessing in life every day, then you would know that how fortunate you are. And you would know that you're so fortunate that you should contribute your part to make this a better world for everybody else. So that's a message that we want to push through. As for our Hong Kong Foundation, I think we can actually see that Hong Kong is now a special administrative region of China. And despite the fact that the term of the government is only 5 years, but we need a long-term plan, and we need to work together to plan for Hong Kong's future. And so this is what our Hong Kong Foundation is doing, to engage ourselves in scientific research towards different problems. And hopefully we'll be able to come up with some options to solve these problems so that policymaker, government leader can look at them and to apply them if they feel that that is appropriate in solving the problems of Hong Kong. So that I feel is very meaningful. And you can actually see think tanks in different parts of the world are doing that. And we hope that our Hong Kong Foundation will be fulfilling that job and of providing a much longer insight into Hong Kong's future and what we can do towards building a better Hong Kong.
So just to finish, having sort of heard from all of those inputs, if you like, for the longer term plan, is there any crystal ball sharing you'd like to do? Like if you were to say a year from now, are we in a post-Trump era? Are we in a continuous Trump era? Are we going to see tit for tat continue between US and China? I mean, this is your personal opinion. Now, you can say no comment, Moses, but just wondering, a year from now, where do you think we are?
No, I don't have a crystal ball, but I do look at Hong Kong in its past 40, 50 years and to learn that Hong Kong is, again, is what I emphasized early on. Hong Kong is full of opportunities.
Yeah,
it's people that make Hong Kong great. We don't have good natural resources. We don't have anything else. We have very difficult and expensive operating environment. What we have plenty is the creativeness and the brain power of our people. Is really when people work together to bring together their brain power, to bring together their energy that would continue to make Hong Kong great. So that's what I want to appeal to everybody. Yes, most important thing is to look after yourself, but at the same time, you've got to look at Hong Kong as a whole, the community as a whole, because if you don't have a good community, if you don't have a good business environment, you won't go very far as an individual.
Very true.
So my appeal to everybody is that if we work together, if we collaborate well, if we do our job well, if we focus on what we do and do it well, I think 1 year from now, I'm sure that at the post-COVID-19 era, we'll be able to start with building Hong Kong. And I think it would not be the same Hong Kong as we experienced before. I think we need to be prepared to change. To change as an environment.
Change doesn't always have to be a bad thing, right?
Yeah. In fact, I feel that change is always bring us better opportunities and renew opportunities. And that's something which we need to get ourselves ready for. And we need to try to put in our effort to make it work.
And if us older, stubborn men and women are able to change, then it's going to be so much easier for the youth, right? To adapt. I
think what our young people need these days is proper guidance from the older generation. And so I've been appealing to teachers, to parents, to spend more time sharing, communicating with the younger generation so that they too would benefit from my experience. And then together with our experience, I'm sure that they would the creative ideas, their energy would continue the good work that we've been doing that make Hong Kong great.
Yeah, we'll get them off TikTok for a few hours, right? So anyway, Moses, it's been wonderful to talk to you today. I'm going to draw it to a close there and say thank you so much. I'm really grateful for sharing your time and your opinions and facts from the Insurance Authority. It sounds like it's on the right track, and in this post-COVID world, there's going to be an even greater need for open regulatory environment for companies to succeed and adopt and adapt to a more digital focused environment in the new norm, as people like to describe. So thank you so much for today, and we'll see you soon.
So thank you very much. My concluded remarks is that we need to work together.
For sure.
Need to focus on what we do and do it well.
Thank you so much, Moses. Appreciate it.